Welcome to our brief presentation on how to build an agile foundation by rethinking bylaws. So why do you need bylaws? Bylaws stipulate who, why, and how you exist as an organization. They're going to provide you with direction and stability throughout the life of the organization. And most jurisdictions require that bylaws be in place in order to qualify as a nonprofit or as a not-for-profit organization. So yes, you do need to have them. So if you have them, why do you need to rethink them? Well, bylaws have traditionally been rigid and complicated with pages and pages of rules and regulations. But everything changes. Your membership levels, your finances, your regulatory requirements, anything can change. And if your bylaws aren't agile, you're going to risk being non-compliant when those changes occur. Bylaws should provide you with direction, not roadblocks. They should allow for flexibility when circumstances change. And it's that agility that allows you to be creative and proactive in your responses when those changes occur without sacrificing your compliancy. So let's take a look at those things that you can change to make you more agile. Let's look at your requirements. The bylaws should mandate the minimum requirements, not the optional, not what you'd love to have, but what you absolutely have to have. You can always do more than the minimum. You can have more frequent meetings, you can have more committees, you just don't want to mandate them. When you mandate higher than minimum requirements, you run the risk of being out of compliance when circumstances prevent you from fulfilling them. So don't set up your organization for failure by making your bylaws rigid. Let's take a look at officers. Now, it's not unusual to have 4, 5, 6, even 7 officer positions, but you really only need to mandate 2 of them. You need to have a president, someone to be in charge, and you need to have a treasurer, somebody who's taking care of the money. You can still list all those other positions in your bylaws, your president-elect, your vice president, your secretary. You can still have all the officers listed with their required duties, but make them all optional positions. Now you can stipulate that your treasurer is also going to function as your secretary if you don't fulfill the secretary positions. Now, if you have involved members that can fill all the positions, that's great, terrific. But if not, you can still carry on the business or the organization with just the 2 mandatory officers if circumstances require it. Now, only having 2 officers is not the best way to run your operation in the long run, but it allows you to remain compliant and functional during those lean times. How about term of office? Allow the option for each position to have a 1 or 2 year term. Now, some officers may be willing and able to serve for 2 years, but others may not be able to commit to more than 1 year. By allowing flexible terms, it'll make it possible to accommodate individuals' needs, and it may even encourage more to step into leadership positions. Next, how about your meetings? For your general meetings, you can mandate the minimum requirement. You could state your requirement as that the general meetings will be the association shall be held at least quarterly or biannually even. You can meet more frequently, and when you do, you're exceeding your requirements. But you're still in compliance when you can only meet the minimum. And by all means, don't mandate which day of the week or what the focus of each meeting will be. That's building in rigidity. And remember, our focus is to be agile. Now, your board meetings should be at least as often as your general meetings. So if you stipulated that your general meetings are going to be quarterly, then your board meeting should state that they should be at least quarterly. In practice, however, it's recommended that your board meet at least bi-monthly or more frequently if you can. Now build into your bylaws that the board meetings don't have to be face-to-face. Your bylaws should indicate that these meetings can be held virtually. Now, as an aside, you want to be sure to email the agenda and any necessary documents to the board members in advance to save time and to keep everybody on track, whether you're meeting in person or virtually. And also, remember to keep the business in the boardroom. All business that does not require a vote of the full membership should be handled during the board meetings, not in your general meetings. Now, you must have an association meeting at least annually to conduct the business of the association, such as electing officers and voting on bylaws changes. Just be sure to indicate that that meeting can also be held virtually, if not face-to-face. Now, your quorums is the minimum number of voting members you have to pass any of your voting business. You need to be realistic. If you set that percentage too high, you're not going to be able to get anything done that requires a vote. Now, it's recommended that the Board of Directors meetings quorum requirement not be higher than 50% and no more than 25% for general meetings. Hopefully, you'll have more in attendance than the minimum to establish a quorum, but you'll still be able to get the job done if only the minimum attend. Committees, where the work gets done. Once again, keep it real. You want to be able to cover the basics when you don't have a lot of players, so only mandate those that are necessary for survival and make the others optional. Now, programs, ways and means, and education should be your priorities. They're the ones that provide the substance, logistics, and focus for your organization. In practice, you could even combine committees, programs and ways and means, for example, into one committee so that the objective of both are managed by the same members and their efforts are aligned for a greater efficiency. But you can still list them as separate committees in your bylaws. Also, you want to indicate that your board or your president can appoint ad hoc committees. If you're having difficulty getting members to make a year-long commitment assignment, you can use short-term ad hoc committees for special projects or events like a fundraiser or a community service project. That way you can still get your members involved and get things done without requiring that they make a long-term commitment. So committees, keep them real. Now, if you're getting ready to take a look at your bylaws and see what you can do to make them more agile, what resources are available to you? Well, in IAIP, you're never alone when you need help. First of all, you've got your comprehensive manual, and that contains model bylaws for each level of the organization. It's a great place to go and look for specific wording that you want to use. Just go to your Members Only tab and click on Leader Resources. Now, after you've gone through the model bylaws, if you still have some questions, or if you need some help, you can always reach out to your IAIP mentor, your council director, or your regional vice president for that little bit extra help. They're always there to give you the guidance you need. Thank you for listening in on this presentation. I hope this has given you some ideas on how you can rethink your bylaws in order to make your foundation agile so you make it through the lean times and enjoy the good times. Thank you.